Hi, I'm Carcina.
Oh, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
No one knows Carcino and none of these.
There's so much going on in the world, and I'm just giving my 2 cents on it. Go in and do a raid at someone's house, but you don't have an arrest warrant for them. What's up, Patreons? I'm sorry for being late for giving you the video. I've been extremely busy, but it's always on time. And who knows, maybe one day this video will appear on YouTube. So until then, it'll be no time soon though. The Patreons, you always are the first to know. Beyonce can't leave Jay-Z. All y'all keep saying that, oh, she just needs to leave Jay and just go from Jay and she got to separate. And y'all thought when all that Lemonade stuff was going on that was the breakup? They were together and over that by then. But the Solange elevator and all that stuff, they spun that into like, oh man, this is, we got them the tension. If everybody going in there and I'm going to apologize to you publicly, then you put out your Lemonade album, then I'll come out with my apology for it. And it's like, oh, they're going to work through it. And it was a way of mass marketing. Then they did an album together. Now, here's the scenario. Jay and Beyonce have been on these walks of balancing fame and popularity, and y'all keep thinking Beyonce is the girl she was back in Destiny's Child, and she's just this humble, oh my gosh, I'm so happy to be here. And no. This isn't even Beyonce after Crazy in Love. After her second album, this is Beyonce who is completely sold in to fame, fortune, and she's traded her soul for this. She don't want to ever go back. She hated being afraid of everything. She was somebody who was always afraid. And her little sister, Solange, used to do all the sticking up for her. Solange would be the one taking up for her. Solange would be the one that was at the schools. Girls want to mess with her sister. She was there to protect Big Sis. So now the whole elevator scene kick off. Beyonce wasn't finna help Solange in the situation. And they was like, well, we got to work through it. We're a married couple. We just work through it. But Beyonce wasn't going to do anything to hurt Jay. She was going to stay there and protect herself and protect her identity. And Jay wasn't going to do anything to harm Solange or anything of that nature. So there's always a difference in opinions on how people look at it, but Beyonce can't leave Jay-Z. You think she could just get up and go and walk away? It don't work like that. First of all, good people, these are people who have a considerable amount of wealth. So there's estate planning. You just can't get a divorce. If Jay don't want a divorce, Beyonce can't go anywhere. So if Jay wanted to leave Beyonce and Beyonce didn't want the wedding or didn't want the marriage to end, Jay can't go anywhere. And this is how it's done because it goes both ways, but who would be the one trying to get away from whom? It would be Beyonce ready to leave Jay before Jay would leave her. Because it's about the brand. Now, their brand together and the fact that they're married in business as well as into each other. So if let's say Beyonce wants to leave Jay-Z. Here's how that would work. She would have to go to a judge and be legally declared single by the judge first while they're finalizing the divorce. This is going to have to take a lot of managing because if Jay is not willing to give her or grant her the divorce, you have business ties that's binded and, welded together in your personal finance accounts. So it's not like a retirement plan. Because they have a private bank that they work with. These are different type of investment portfolios. Okay. They have equity stock accounts. They have real estate properties. Granted, it's easier now to divide and split up real estate, but they own stock in film production companies, artwork, not only the recordings and masters and publishing rights. Jay-Z owns a portion of almost all of it when it comes to managing Beyonce's career. He has been an advisor. So he's on an advisory board role for Beyonce. I'm not saying that he would take all these things from her, but if she tries to leave, he could make it really difficult for her if he didn't want her to leave. And if she left, she would almost lose almost everything. She could probably fight to keep the name because she had Beyonce before she came into business. But when her name was trademarked Beyonce, Jay had a part of that. So even though it's her name, the trademark Beyonce, because she was in Destiny's Child and her name is Beyonce knows. But the single word Beyonce with the actual hyphen, that's her actual name that she got trademarked. That might align right along with Jay-Z. The Ivy Park was Beyonce's, but Jay-Z was an advisor. And, once again, he was involved in the finances. And then there's marriage money laws and all these things. But when you have a private bank for the rich and powerful, they go through a whole different type of estate situation where she would have to walk away and agree to give up her part of the business or her part into a winery or properties and offshore accounts and everything. If she would agree to do this, she could walk away, depending on what they agree to when they go to court. And they hire someone to handle the financials. while they're going through the split. So why this is happening? The judge will give them a legal separation to say, okay, you guys are legally separated while we work everything out with the divorce. Similar with Kim Kardashian and Kanye West. Same thing. Kanye didn't want the marriage to end, but she wanted it to end. So in order for this to happen, she had to file to be legally separated. And the reason for that is so they wouldn't violate anything that was in the contract of saying, hey, you're married and you're doing X, Y, and Z. That's violating the marriage. It's like we're getting a divorce, but we're not divorced. You can't be doing that yet. So the judge declares you legally separated. So now the assets of the accounts and the businesses have to be rectified in court. And while those legal proceedings are going on, it won't affect anything else that you have in place. Now, granted, there are a lot of people that don't understand or know how to manage finances in a marriage. You know, this is not like regular people, like where you got to get to know each other financial lives, create a game plan, use your finances to thrive. That's how you would use in any marriage when there's a business, right? But when there's nothing in place, then this becomes the norm, the narrative, the whole thing, so Beyonce couldn't leave because she doesn't want to start over or start at a disadvantage. Now, Beyonce is big enough that if she left Jay-Z and came out with an album, that thing would sell probably 5 to 6 million records. Easy. I Can't Stand You, Jay-Z album. Oh, she'd have every black woman, white woman, everybody showing up for her. And it would probably ruin Jay. But they have no reason. Like, she has no reason now because she has everything at her power and access. They got the NFL backing them. They reopened the 40-40 Club with the support of the NFL, helping bridge that deal together. So as you can see, this thing is bigger than what you can imagine. But if Jay wanted to hold her up, he could do that. Because rich people have family estate planning. They have different type of IRAs that keep them into a family trust where the money goes. It's not like, baby, put your money in this bank and then we go in this bank. They have money that goes into their private accounts, but they have something called a family trust where the money goes there and it's working for you. Certain companies have money where the finances are divvied up in a IRA account, and they're just the owners of the IRA account. Their companies would own the actual bank account. So when they have these wealth accounts that are doing well for them and profitable and making all of this monies and all of this stuff is going in their direction that they like, they're going to change the narratives. And let's say that it's hostile, right? That could be in court for 2-3 years. That's why you see these super rich people, they settle. They come to an agreement, but they have to sit down with lawyers and get a mediator to come in there and mediate this thing and break down, and we're going to split this down the middle. But this is with rich people with estates. They got to decide on what they're going to do with a property. They either got to sell it or, keep it as is, or somebody's going to get a percentage off of it and say, okay, I'll let you control it, but I still want my end of the money, or the other person buys the other person out. And as you see, in a lot of business dealings, they would just pay them out in a flat fee and say, here's $150 million flat. You know, Michael Jordan did that with Juanita Jordan. She got like 170 whatever $1 million, and he was done. He don't have to pay her another dime. All his kids are grown, and Juanita just gets a flat fee of 170, and that's it for all the time she spent with Michael raising the kids, not trashing him in the media or anything. That's what she did. She did her role. And for it, she's been rewarded, and she could spend the rest of her time, dating who she wants, going where she wants. Well, you kind of want people to figure things out on their own. But Beyonce, people's like, well, she's trapped. Where's she gonna go? This is how she trusts Jay completely financially. She trusts him with the plans. Now he's trying to turn the kids into millionaires and build their estate up by putting them in movies. As now Blue Ivy is she's going to be in the new Lion King movie, Mufasa, which Jay helped Beyonce get this Disney deal. And now, Beyonce and Blue Ivy, they got this thing with Bob Iger where they got the Disney, and Jay-Z's working on something now with Rock Nation where they're doing a feature on ESPN, and Bob Iger and Disney, they own ESPN. So it's a whole big conglomerate thing that's moving on. And for Jay-Z to move from the NBA to the NFL, he realized that this is a bigger advantage for him to make more money, more exposure into households that he never could before. Now that he's controlling the halftime of the Super Bowl and doing these events with Rock Nation, there's been more attention on these events than ever before. Now, Beyonce, she doesn't want to leave because now the way things are going, they're not around each other as much as people think. They only come out for real public appearances, but Jay spent a lot of his time away from Beyonce. They don't spend a lot of time together like they used to. No, Beyonce is with the twins. She spent time with her children more. And when she has things that she's doing, like her albums and shows or tours, she'll come out and do that. But now she has more time for herself and her kids. Meanwhile, Jay is out traveling, making business deals and investments in the process. So that is why financially, Beyonce can't just walk away, because a lot of her finances are tied with Jay, and they will have to go into personal finance management. Uh, they get a personal finance management team to come in and split it up and mediate a divorce, which would be massive, especially if the other person doesn't want to allow it. Let's go back to Ike and Tina. What happened with Ike and Tina Turner? Ike wanted to not get a divorce. Tina wanted the divorce, and they didn't have what Jay and Beyonce had, but Ike Turner owned everything. Ike Turner owned all the recordings, the publishing, everything was under Ike. Ike owned the clothes. He owned the name, Tina Turner. Her name was Anna Mae Bullock. And she let go the fight for all the materials, the clothes, everything, the jewelry. She said he can keep the money. I don't want no money from Ike. All I want is to keep my name. I work too hard for it. So Tina Turner, that's the name I'm going to keep. And the judge said, wow, since she's willing to forfeit all of this just for the name, I'm going to give her the name. And he let her go. Ike was pretty much at a position where he couldn't really win this case. And he let her go. He was able to keep all the publishing and recordings, and all of that stayed with Ike Turner. All the old movie music they recorded together, publishing rights, all of it remained with Ike. But she retained the rights to her name solely. So Tina Turner was hers. And that way other people could work with her. It's just it's a bad situation. And everybody thought it was over when the Becky with the good hair comment was made. No, they were totally back together back then. Everybody was, she finna leave him. No, it was her way of trying to show strength in a situation where she normally would be meek. And they was like, that's right. If you mess up again, Beyonce is gone. She tired of you. So, once again, finances keep you there. You got a business situation, like their relationship is, they are a business. They're a walking, breathing business. So to separate will take years. She could be living somewhere else. To get a divorce, that stuff take years. I tell you, Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, they still were fighting. They owned a winery together and a vineyard. They had to split that. Madonna and Guy Ritchie, they had investments in other countries and other cities, and all of these things had to be divided. And it is crazy, and it's not all what it's cranked up to be, especially if one side doesn't want it to be over. But when both sides even want it to be over, they still have to agree on how the assets are going to be divided. And that takes years. So that's why sometimes when you hear about a divorce, when it's happening, it's probably was happening 2 years ago and you didn't even know about it. They didn't really report it to you until all the finances and everything have been, sorted out. So Beyonce really can't leave Jay because it would leave her stripped of almost everything unless she's just like, I don't care. I'm willing to start over. I'm out. And everybody knows me now, so they know I'm Beyonce. So I can just go ahead and do what I got to do. And I could restart my career all over. And if Jay didn't want it to be a hostile breakup, it could be. Because he knows a lot of people was doing business with him because of Beyonce. That got him through a lot of doors. But he helped build her career up as an individual artist and an individual talent because that's who they were interested in. I mean, Kelly Rowland even had a career thanks to Beyonce because of it. Now she's acting and able to do other things. Where Michelle, she wasn't going to really get all those opportunities because she was still, attached to the church. And she didn't want to give up her faith in God. And she went back to doing, God's work, went back to the church. And when the Destiny Child thing was over, she went back to that church and started singing because she didn't want to lose herself in this industry when there were plenty of opportunities coming for her. So on that note, I'm going to get up out of here, Patreons. I want to say shouts out to everybody out there, especially if you are watching for the first time. And, who knows, this video might make it to YouTube one day, but just not today. I'm out.